So Digimon Expo 2025 just happened, and I definitely was not paying close attention to it because I didn't think anything crazy would come out of it. But apparently Bandai decided to throw me for a loop once again. It was pretty much a sure thing that we'd be getting another Digital Monster Color crossover device at some point, but I didn't expect it would be announced this soon, and I definitely didn't expect that the crossover would be with Digimon itself. But here we are. Today we're talking about the Digital Monster Color Digimon Cross Wars 15th edition. Now, new stuff just got announced, and you know the drill. We gotta talk about the sponsor before we dive into the news. We're talking about another Bandai exclusive device, so those of us outside of Japan need a way to get those devices without an expensive plane ticket, and Zen & TCG has you covered. They are your one-stop shop for Digimon and anime merch, including the Cross Wars Digimon Color. Through October 20th, you can get 10% off if you order both color options of the new devices, and don't forget to check out their cases too. Head to zenandtcg.com using the link in the description to get yours. So let's start with what Cross Wars actually is, because I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of Digimon fans out there who haven't interacted too much with this particular part of the franchise. I'm actually one of them. So I did try to watch Cross Wars many years ago. I don't know how long it's been at this point, and I immediately found that I didn't care for it in the slightest. Many of you already know that I don't care for Frontier either, and if I was to pick between the two, I'd pick Frontier over Cross Wars. That is how I feel about it. I apologize to the Cross Wars fans out there. I will try to be as positive as possible as I can throughout this, as I'm at least happy that we're getting more devices. Always love to see more devices. Either way, so Cross Wars was pretty different as far as Digimon shows went. It was more so like they took the Digimon characters, added new ones of course, but old ones were returning as well, but they put them into like a completely different type of show. So the standard evolution mechanics were thrown out the window in favor of crossing, which involved combining multiple Digimon together in an effort to sell toys. Now, Digimon, of course, has always been about selling toys, but this is another one of those cases where it was even more clear what the intention was, as the main Digimon had transformation gimmicks that allowed them to combine, and yeah, you can see where that's going. Either way, the show itself, it's not for me. The main characters I do not care for. I find them obnoxious. They got this high energy about them that I just cannot stand when it comes to a show. And not to say I don't care for all high energy characters, but this is, yeah, it wasn't mine. Like, if I was to compare it to something else, I often compare it to Zatch Bell, which I don't have bad feelings about Zatch Bell, but I definitely couldn't watch it forever. So yeah, either way, it's an interesting piece of Digimon media. Some people love it, and great for those that do. Maybe you will too. Maybe this is a good chance for you to go check it out and see what you think of it. But like I said, the evolution mechanics were very different, and as such, this actually did get a virtual pet back in the day, the Digimon Cross Wars Mini, in addition to the actual LCD toy for the show, the Cross Loader, which wasn't a virtual pet, but was a very, actually, impressive LCD toy that was a full game, basically. It was there's a lot going on in it. It's one of the most advanced devices ever made, if you want to take a look at that one. Very expensive these days, obviously. But yeah, the Cross Wars Mini was very unique as far as V-Pets went, because instead of normal evolution mechanics, it's like you would defeat an enemy in battle, and then you would evolve into something else based on the enemy you defeated, and yeah, so it was interesting, right? So as far as this device goes, we're going to see some of that come into play here, some of those unique components about Cross Wars, because again, it's not like other Digimon shows, so the virtual pet shouldn't really be exactly like other Digimon virtual pets either. So the devices, right? So they come in two colors here, and they, like the other crossover devices, have this UV printing going on that has a full wraparound of the device with some lovely designs on them. So again, just like the Monster Hunter, just like the Godzilla, we have those same types of things here. And you may be thinking to yourself at this point, well, Cumulus, is this really a crossover device? It's Digimon, and I'm still considering it one because this is crossing over with a Digimon anime, which those are normally kind of separate entities. There's not a lot of virtual pets for Digimon anime. In fact, there's only one. It's the IC. The Digivice IC is the only Digimon virtual pet that is also a tie-in with an anime. But that's a very special case. So this one's a full-on crossover because it's following the same kind of things that the other Digital Monster Color crossovers did. So it is crossing over with its own brand, but it is another kind of anniversary deal. So this is for the 15th anniversary of Cross Wars, and that may make you think, well, the other shows are getting 25th anniversary things right now, and Savers hasn't seen anything. And yes, get mad about that, please. It's weird that we have not seen anything for Digimon Savers over the years. Now for its 15th, The 20th is, let's see, Sabres was 2006? Yeah, it was 2006. So next year is the 20th. We probably won't see anything for that. And maybe we'll see a Digivice later, but I don't know. I doubt it. I've got small hopes for Sabres these days when it comes to any kind of merchandise, but that's another story, isn't it? So these devices are releasing in February of next year, and they are pre-order only. I'm going to emphasize that yet again. These are pre-order only devices. You will not be able to order, you will not just be able to go to a store and buy them. They are not being released outside of Japan. These are Japan exclusive devices. That being said, resellers can do whatever the heck they want, right? So different stores will be able to sell these in different parts of the world if they so choose to strike a deal with Bandai and import some of these for you to buy. So check out import stores like Zenon, of course, who sponsored this video, but the devices aren't going to get localized releases anywhere. So that also means that these are going to be primarily in Japanese, but don't let that bother you. The text may be in Japanese, but there's so little text on these devices. I will say it again and again every time. It doesn't matter. You do not need to know Japanese to use these devices, so don't let that stop you. The standard price of these is 7,700 yen when purchasing directly from P Bandai, which none of you can do. P Bandai US may put these up at some point, but it will not be that same exact price. So again, this is no matter what, if you're outside Japan, you're going to be using some kind of import option, whether that is Zenon Japan you want, P Bandai US, Okiniland, Hobby Genki, whatever. There's a million of them out there. How to Buy VPET's channel in the Discord server. Go there if you want to know how to get some of these. So let's move on to take a closer look at the colors, right? So we get one color that emphasizes Shoutmon and the other one emphasizes Metal Greymon there. So that's Cross Hearts is the red one and Blue Flare is the blue one. I guess those are teams from the show. I couldn't tell you. But if we take a closer look, so we see again that the printing is all the way around the device and it does look lovely. I think these devices look great, even if I don't care about the show. I can't deny when things look good. So key thing to note is that no matter which one you buy, same content on both. These are not separate versions. So even though this page here is showing some Shoutmen on the screen, you can get these same Shoutmen on the other device as well, which that other device is obviously the better of the two, this lovely blue one. So again, I don't like Cross Wars very much, but I have always liked the Greymon and Metal Greymon designs from Cross Wars. I think they are pretty sick. I'm a big fan of them. Male Bergermon too, for that matter. Definitely some good designs going on there. Cross Wars has a few. I don't think it's any of the straight up main characters for the most part. Is Metal Greymon a main character? I think there's like a weird like rival kid that uses it. I don't know. Whatever. But the main characters, the ones that all fuse with Shoutmon all the dang time, those ones I don't care for any of their designs really. Even Ballistamon. Sorry, Ballistamon. You may be a cool robot bug, but I got better cool robot bugs in the other parts of Digimon. So Greymon and Metal Greymon though, no notes. Zeke Greymon, whatever. Don't really care about that. It's yellow. Why would I care about that? I want the blue ones. So same content on both again. So these Greymen will be on the other devices as they're the other color device as well. So since this is a Cross Wars device, it's got to have unique things about it, right? So we saw with the Monster Hunter device, they added in a little bit of unique mechanics in there. Godzilla went all out and did a lot of really cool stuff. Cross Wars might be going even further with what it's doing, as it's going to be emphasizing a lot of the crossing mechanic. And again, crossing is just kind of, it's similar to evolution, but not exactly the same thing. It's like a temporary fusion by, it's basically what if they were Power Rangers, right? What if the Digimon were Zords? That's what crossing is. So, and still different from Jawgrass too, because yeah, no, that's a whole nother conversation we can get into another time. The main thing you need to know right now is that on this device, they are going to allow for crossing with your currently raised Digimon by letting you recruit Digimon as you play. So you'll do certain event battles as you go through the game, and the result of those battles will give you access to one of these recruits. So here on the screen, we see Ballistamon, Darulumon, and Starmons. That's Mons plural, Starmons. Yeah, I don't really get that one either, but those are like kind of some of the three main ones that Shoutmon's all the time crossing with. And on the right there, we see the 2010 version of Greymon as well as Male Bergermon. And so those are 5 of the recruits right there. And there will be additional ones than that. There's a total of 13. And by the way, Greymon's also raisable, but we'll get at it in a second. But these guys, otherwise than Greymon, will not be raisable. You just get them as recruits, use them for crossing. And so in addition to these 5, we don't know for sure what the other ones will be. But based on the crosses that we know we're getting, then this is my assumption here, and I feel like these are pretty safe assumptions, but anything could happen, right? They could totally throw me for a loop, and this is just my speculation, again, based on the components of the other crosses. So what I find most likely is that we'll probably see Beelzebumon, that's the 2010 version, Skull Knightmon, Deadly Axemon, Knightmon, Spadamon, Sparrowmon, Deckardramon, and Dark Knightmon is what I'm expecting to see the rest of the recruits be. But again, we don't know that for sure. This is just my speculation based on the crosses. So yeah, that's recruiting. And then moving on from that, we can see again that recruiting allows for these crosses to occur. And so there's the standard main guy, I guess, that would be Shoutmon Cross 4. So that every time you see that X, that's for cross. I used to pronounce it Xros, not because I thought that's how it's pronounced, but because I just liked saying Xros. But if I was to do that all throughout this video, I would lose my mind. So I'm just sticking with cross in this case. So there you go. You see Shoutmon. If you cross with Ballistamon, Darulamon, and Starmons, you get Shoutmon Cross 4. There's a few Shoutmon, or yeah, are these all Shoutmen? Yeah, these are all Shoutmen. There's a few of these that have never had like reference book pictures and stuff before, and I think they're like not even from the show, if I recall correctly. I think they're from the video games. So this is not just going to be stuff from the show itself. This will be containing Cross Wars in general. I don't know how much the comic will be involved in this. I don't know if I've seen anything exclusive to the comic or not yet, but the video game at least will be involved. So we can see that some of the new cross forms that are getting brand shiny new art. We have Shoutmon Cross 3 GM, which is, I guess, crossing with Greymon and... No. Yeah, Greymon and... What's it called? Mailbirdramon. Then we have Shoutmon Cross 3 SD, which is with Skull Knightmon and Deadly Axemon, I believe. And then Shoutmon Cross 4S, which is adding Spadamon into the normal Cross 4 bunch. So the same 4 you see up there, plus Spadamon. As far as I know how this works, it's basically like if you ever play Magic the Gathering, I used this analogy earlier today. If you ever play Magic the Gathering, if you know about your converted mana costs, so you might see like 2 blue mana icons at the top, and then like a number 3. So your converted mana cost is 5. So it's like, that's how this is. So the 3 is just generic, and then there's proper names given. So like 3, or I guess, to go with the example I know for sure is X4S. So 4 Digimon plus Spadamon, whatever it is. That's how that works. That's how that naming convention works. I think that's consistent. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not true some of the time. I'm doing my best to report to you about Cross Wars. That is not my area of expertise, so if I misspeak on any part, I actually don't care because it's Cross Wars and I'm apologizing to it. So anyway, that's how crossing works. So there is a mixture on this device of both Digimon that you raise and Digimon that you cross into or become after crossing, however you want to phrase that. So in total, there's 28 player character Digimon. But, and this is a pretty big but, only 11 of those are actual Digimon that you raise. So that means that others are just for crossing, I guess, and they didn't actually specify what crossing does. And my assumption, based on the phrasing here, is that it'll be something that happens just during battle. So you can initiate a cross during battle to become one of these other things here. That's my assumption. I don't know that for sure. That's just what would make sense. Otherwise, I don't know why they'd go out of their way to say that these guys aren't raisable. Because that would mean, like, you know, they don't walk around the screen, they don't get fed, they don't poop, they don't do any of that stuff. So if they're not doing stats stuff, then I could only assume that they only appear within battles. So we'll probably get more details about that over the coming month within Mon memos to describe exactly how crossing will work. But for now, we at least know who is available on the device for the player to use. Now, on the screen, it says there are 28 total. There are only 27 shown, and there's some ideas going around about what that 28th one is, and why they would hide it is possibly because it's a brand spanking new thing. But yeah, the page is a little confusing. At first, I thought one thing meant another, but now I'm kind of convinced it means something else. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's focus on the actual spread of Digimon here. So to make it easier, we're going to just kind of focus on one set at a time. So we'll focus first on the raisable Digimon here. So the highlighted ones are the ones that should be raisable, and this is pure speculation. Now, this is almost certainly correct speculation, but this is pure speculation. So this may not be exactly it. Don't take my word for this, as this is me going off of what is most likely. Now, Chivicmon and Pikmon are almost certainly the baby 1 and baby 2, right? Like, there's no way around it. That has to be it. So you hatch into Chivicmon, it turns into Pikmon. Pikmon's going to evolve, and it's going to evolve into Shoutmon, Gumdramon, or Gaussmon. Now, Shoutmon is definitely there by default. Gumdramon, I don't know if that has to be unlocked. Gaussmon, you do unlock by clearing a certain area of the quest mode or world battles, as they're calling it. I don't know what world battles means. Is that a Cross War specific thing? I didn't look it up, but I didn't care. Don't answer that question, because again, I don't care. But once you've unlocked that, you get a special egg that contains Gaussmon, I guess. But as for how that mechanic works too, completely unsure. But so it goes Chivicmon to Pikmon, and then you can become Shoutmon. Shoutmon probably evolves directly into Shoutmon King version, because that's kind of normal, I guess. I don't know. It's an adult form, and there you go. And that probably evolves into Omega Shoutmon. Now, as far as I understand it, Shoutmon becomes Omega Shoutmon by getting some power from Omegamon, but I don't think it's a cross, so I'm guessing that's a standard evolution on this because of that. And yeah, so that's my assumption there. Gumdramon is almost certainly a standard evolution, of course, and as would be Arestrodramon, which it would evolve into. Gaussmon and Greymon are standard. Now, Metal Greymon, this is where things come into play a little bit more confusingly, right? Because Metal Greymon's normally a cross, I believe, just between Greymon and Male Birdramon. So could it be a cross exclusive thing? Possibly, but I don't think it is. Because A, if it isn't, then we don't have 11 Digimon here, and there is no other Digimon on this page that I think would be more likely to be raisable than Metal Greymon. And B, that kind of breaks the link between Greymon and Zeke Greymon, and Zeke Greymon, as far as I understand it, is not a cross, and therefore wouldn't really make sense to have it be kind of on its own, I guess, separate from Metal Greymon. So that's my assumption, at least. I could also technically see it being that what's it called? Shoutmon DX. Omega Shoutmon DX could potentially be another one that's not a cross, but is a direct evolution. But normally speaking, it is a cross between Omega Shoutmon and Zeke Greymon. And I'm actually kind of curious, because if Zeke Greymon's not a recruit, how do you cross into Omegamon or Omega Shoutmon DX? I don't know. Lots of questions, lots of things that'll need to be answered. But for right now, this is what I'm considering the most likely scenario, that these 11 Digimon will be those that are raisable. So then that takes us to the crosses. And for the crosses here, we've got Shoutmon, 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 Shoutmon. And yeah, we got all the Shoutmons. So I'll actually go ahead and name these in order, left, right, top to bottom over here. So we've got Shoutmon Cross 2, Shoutmon Cross 3, Shoutmon Cross 3 SD, Shoutmon Cross 3 GM. Moving on to the next row, Shoutmon Cross 4, Shoutmon Cross 4K, Shoutmon Cross 4S, Shoutmon Cross 4B, Shoutmon Cross 5, Shoutmon Cross 5S, Shoutmon Cross 5B. And then on the last row there, after Omega Shoutmon, is Shoutmon DX, Shoutmon EX6, and Shoutmon X7. And I think I got those all right. If I got any of those wrong, sorry, I did my best. This is especially going off of little pixel sprites here. Like, I'm pretty sure I got them identified properly, but yeah, don't be surprised if there's something wrong there. And then if we go down to the bottom area, right after Metal Greymon is Decker Greymon, and then right to the right of that is Gray Knightmon. So that does leave one more, and one potential thing going around is that apparently Shoutmon Cross 10 just got revealed, so potentially that could be used. However, the number of recruits I've already identified fills up the number of available recruits. So there's 13, and I've identified 13. I even left out Pawn Chessmon for one of the crosses, because I was like, they're probably not using Pawn Chessmon, and just sticking with Knightmon for that one. So I can't imagine them adding any more, and I guess the Cross 10 uses, if I recall correctly, Mervamon, Tuarmon, and the Mystery Third Digimon. I could have looked it up, I'm not gonna. So either way, I don't know that those would be able to be recruited, so I don't know if that evolution would still occur, or that cross would still occur, but maybe it would. And it would make sense if they had a brand new Shoutmon they'd want to include on this device, right? So Shoutmon Cross 10 is a good possibility. I definitely don't think it's an existing Digimon if it was going to be something Shoutmon related. There's another spot further down the page that we'll go to here now. So I'll come back up to the guys up top here in a second, but at the bottom there, it So this was phrased in a way that made it a little hard to interpret, but I think I got it interpreted correctly now. So originally, I was thinking this was saying that if you defeated a specific enemy, that your Digimon would evolve or cross a certain way. And I think I got that mixed up. I think that if you defeat this certain enemy with a certain Digimon on your side, that it will evolve, that the enemy will evolve, which is pretty neat. And most people are telling me that's probably Armamon, which is, I guess, from the video game. I had never heard of it before today, so cool. Or yesterday. What day is today? I don't know. So yeah, that's probably, and looking at the sprite and comparing it to the artwork, yeah, I'm sure that's probably Armamon. And Armamon does evolve, so originally I was like, well, why would we evolve into what Armamon evolves into? But if it's just the enemy evolving into a stronger enemy, then that makes a lot more sense. So I think that's what that's saying there. And then above it, we do have the other Digimon that are exclusive to battles. They're calling them world battles for this. So it's just, as far as I can assume, it's just your standard quest mode, and that you're going to be able to recruit Digimon from it as you go, which, you know, kind of similar to unlocking evolutions off the Digital Monster X series, which is notably pretty cool. And so here we see Mad Leomon, who I think is like the first main grunt they see in the show, because I remember seeing him in the show, and I only watched like the first few episodes. Then you got Lithmon, Blastmon, and Tactamon, who I believe are like kind of Baggermon's right-hand guys or whatever. Dark Knightmon, which I think is also pretty prevalent. So I don't remember. I don't know what his role is in the show. And then Baggermon, which is like kind of the main bad guy, I guess. So there's probably going to be other ones, I would bet. So there's like the 7 Death Generals, for example. I would be very surprised if those weren't in here as enemies to fight. It does say that 2 of the enemies are also cross-event, recruits, that's what it is, are also recruits. So I would assume Dark Knightmon is one of those, and the other one could be, I mean, Skull Knightmon, Deadly Axemon, and Decardramon all are in there, and I think those are all enemies in the show, so could be any one of them, I suppose. Impossible to say without speculation at this point. Again, there is a lot of speculation going on here. So yeah, so that's world battles. Of course, this device will be able to battle against other devices as well, which I think comes up right here next. There it is. So any other color series device, that's any Digimon device that has color in its name for the series, is going to be able to battle against this. That includes the Digital Monster Color and Digimon Pendulum series, as well as the other crossover devices, Monster Hunter and Godzilla. All of them are going to be able to battle against each other, and won't that just be great? So those battles are just done via connection like normal, or you can do the world battles on the device. That's all there. And then apart from that, all the standard features are going to be returning, right? So you feed them, you clean them, you do all that stuff. This will have cold mode for freezing your Digimon when you don't have time to raise them, and it will have backup for when you want to swap between your active and reserved Digimon. You can have one Digimon reserved and backup. And as it says there, this device, as always, charges using USB Type-C. So those are the key points of the device. So there's a few things that are still unknown. I'm looking forward to see the Mon memos so we can get solidification on what that final Digimon is, for which again I'm assuming is a cross, as well as what the how crossing just functions for that matter. Would be cool if they also show us who the other recruits all are. And I feel like my guesses are probably pretty good, but I wouldn't be too surprised if one or two of them were off. So I think I've got at least 75% of them correct, but you know, that's just because the components are listed right there. So why wouldn't I get at least 75? If I got less than 75% correct, I'd probably be very upset with myself, because I feel like the answers are, I feel like it's an open book test, right? So yeah, so these devices, again, they are pre-order only, so make sure to get pre-orders in if you want them. Same content on both. If you only want the blue or you only want the red, you're not going to be missing out on anything. There are no device connection unlocks either. Just get whatever color you like more. So just get the blue one, right? It's obviously the better between the two. And yeah, so it comes out in February. We'll probably, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another crossover announced before this releases. We also do have the Pendulum colors releasing in December, versions 6 and 7. So we've got a few devices currently on the horizon, which is always exciting. It's been great to see that there has just been a constant stream of Digimon virtual pets for the last several years. It's been great. Love it. Friggin' ever since 2017, they've just been cranking them out, and hopefully at some point they can release them overseas again. Wouldn't that be nice? But for right now, we can at least stick to importing. It's not too bad, although shipping's pretty expensive in the US right now, which has been annoying. Man, I ordered something off Japan You Want the other day. It was, Japan You Want used to be able to do $9 for shipping. Can you believe that? $9 to import. That's when I was first getting into the virtual pet fandom in a big way. I'd always been raising virtual pets since I was young, but I only started talking on Discords and stuff in 2018, and yeah, I could just order stuff from Japan you want, $9 shipping. It was $37 the other day. I ordered a Pokenade, one of the new ones there. I've already got some of the Pokemon LCD toys, but this new one looked pretty neat. I wanted to try it out. I know it's been a pretty popular one. That's not what this is about, but yeah, so importing's not always the best, but it's the only way we can do it. So our hands are a little tied there. Either way, if you got more questions about this device or want to talk more about it, go head over to the Modern VPets channel over in the Digimon, or in the Digitama Hatchery Discord server. That link is in the description, where you can talk about this device and any other modern VPet or anything else Digimon for that matter as well. We've got channels for everything to do with Digimon in its entirety. Apparently there's a new anime coming out next month, Beat Break. That's like 2 weeks away. Neat. I like almost none of the character designs in that. They're all the big-headed type of designs. I don't like big-headed mascot creatures. That's not my deal. But I'm going to watch it. Animation looks cool. Very well could be neat. I'll watch every episode just like I did with Ghost Game. I liked Ghost Game pretty well. Ghost Game's cool. Even if it didn't, fully deliver on what people expected. And then Time Stranger comes out next month too. Good gravy. You freaking Digimon fans are spoiled. We went like a whole decade with almost nothing. And then now it's just like bleh, everything. So I did play the Time Stranger demo. I'll probably stream Time Stranger when it comes out as well. Again, like this, I will try to be as positive as possible, but I don't really like Digimon games very much, but I want to at least give it a fair shot, because I do like Digimon and want to at least try, you have a no thank you bite, as parents may say. So anything else going on? Card game marches on, always new card games thing going on. Oh yeah, Elysion. Oh my gosh, Elysion's coming out soon. I don't remember exactly when, but that's going to be a whole thing that I am looking forward to. I really like the Digimon card game, but not enough to be good at it. And I actually stopped collecting the cards recently, which is a bummer. After the EX set that had all the old school stuff. Was that 9? I think that was 9. It was all based on the first Virtual Pets. After that one, I'm like, I'm done. I don't need to buy anymore because I don't play, and I'm not good at card games at all. Oh my gosh, no. I love them. Love playing card games. Love playing Magic especially. Digimon card games also a lot of fun. I just never have anyone that wants to play it casually around me. It's just people who really know what they're doing. Yeah, most of the people that play Digimon card game know what they're doing too much, and I'm like, I can't deal with that. I'm not smart enough to be hanging out with you kind of guys. So yeah, is there anything else? Liberator's still going on. Yeah, there's a lot of Digimon stuff going on. That is just wild. So many new things. What a cool time to be a Digimon fan, right? All this great stuff coming. But I'm going to stop rambling on. So if you want to talk about any of that, head over to the Discord server, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.